PvP season details, level sync feedback, and bounty hunter abilities. These topics and more coming up on this episode of the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Our broadcast aspect today is EPC 305. And playing alongside me, not on the PTS, is Seema. Hi, Seema. How's it going?
Hey, Max. Max is depressed because we're not on the PTS today.
Yeah, you might
We wanted to be.
beware of the rants tonight.
But we did spend some time this week on the PTS, so we played with some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
On Tuesday night, our guild had our MFN in SWTOR. We did Xeno Analyst and Rampages. But I wanted to give an update on Summer of 300 for me. I had 3 characters left to do, and I got this idea that I wanted to get them all to like 299 and then take a screenshot, but my operative I already missed that. I was trying for it, but I already went over, so she's 300 already. My Sentinel is 299, and then my Sage is like 296 or something, and I'm pretty sure, I don't know, I don't think I'm going to be able to hit 299 because unless I'm willing to do it in some really, like by killing mobs.
Yeah, some really slow, careful way. It's because
Yeah.
right now, well, we'll be losing double XP relatively soon too. Then things will slow down a little bit, but even so, it's too easy to get 2 levels all at once, and then you're in trouble.
Right. Well, I'm going to have to do it this week because if she makes her personal conquests,
Right.
well,
Because you can't log
anyway,
in
so that's
then.
that was. Well, no, you can. I found out you can log in. You just still have to accept the quest. Like I
Right.
ran around
True.
with that quest for a while. But anyway, that is where I am on Summer of 300.
Good times.
Which it feels good. I mean, I know I'm going to finish like when we started this, I felt like my Sage, who was like 250, 265 at the time, and the other two were like way down at like 120 or 140. I thought this is going to be a horrible grind and it's going to be like this and that and the other thing, but it's been not a horrible grind. And especially when we got the double XP going, which we started with double XP and then now it's back for a month. It's been really easy. So
Yeah.
yay. This was also our ops night, our ops team, LOL. And we did something we've never done before, which is we did Queen on both sides, which I'm joking. We always do that. We've been doing that several weeks. Yeah. And then we went and did Xeno hard mode. And by did, I mean we didn't actually kill it because
we were a little
we
slow.
didn't.
We were a little late. Probably could have
We
gave
were
it
a
another couple of
yeah,
attempts, but yeah.
a little bit slow, a little bit late. That's kind of
But we got
what we are.
that's why we're doing the Queen. Get some gear, get some 252 pieces on some people that are still in like 220 or whatever. We had to bring in some people back to the game and making it happen, which is cool.
Yeah, so that's what I've been doing in SWTOR this week. And I think you've been doing a lot of the same stuff.
Yes, I have. So I am on my Sage right here. And as you can see, if you are watching this podcast, if not, I will tell you with my mouth, with my words, that I am at command rank 299. And looky here, right here in my old inventory here, I've got bonus CXP consumables. I've got 3 of them. So here, let me show you my spreadsheet and read all my stats while I'm at it. No, just show you the spreadsheet here. So as of right now, my gunslinger's at 295, my sentinel's at 297, my sniper's at 297, and my sage is at 299. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do what you're suggesting, Seema, which is get a couple of them right to the cusp. And during the podcast, this podcast and each of the next 3, I'm going to push one more character to CXP 300 to finish the Summer of 300 in the next 4 weeks. So here, let
There
me
you go.
click on one thing here, and There we go. Commanding Consular. Achievement completed. Command rank 300 on my Consular Sage. Look at the Sage. This is my favorite. This is my favorite Sage. Look, it looks like a Sork, doesn't it? It looks like a Marauder with
Yeah,
that
it,
armor.
it looks,
He looks
it does.
angry.
Looks like a soup.
Yeah, a soup. The boys. We'll talk about that after. Join the post show if you want to talk about the boys on Netflix. Anyways, there we go. So there's one
Prime.
down. Sorry, not on Netflix. Go. If you don't like the boys, send a letter to Netflix and tell them to stop producing the show.
Yes, right. That's a reference.
That's a reference. Great. So that's what I've been doing, and all those other things too. And I think besides that, we can talk about some news.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
Okay, so first up in the news, Mike Bradley continues to post the periodic PvP descriptions of action taken on accounts and cheating and that kind of thing. So they're being good about this. Mike Bradley's still on top of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It hasn't fallen off. That's good.
Yeah.
Still
I
suggests
agree.
how you do the reporting. Four accounts were banned completely because there was, just since the last patch, there was like a tiny little exploit that went in, and a couple people used it. And it's like if you stumbled across it, not a problem. If you used it a little bit, kind of a problem. If you abused it egregiously, as they say, pretty egregiously, then banned. So 4 accounts were permanently banned. The feedback on this
Wow.
in the descriptions down below, as people sort of discuss it, is thanks, good. That's we were hoping you guys would do. You guys are taking legitimate action on some of these accounts that are really ruining the game for a lot of us. Permanent ban on those accounts wipes them out. Okay. One of the other things that's part of this post that he put up as well is that season 11, which is the PvP season that we're currently in, will be coming to an end with 6.0. We expected that. We expected that would be the case. There is a little bit of a discussion, though. There's typically a little bit of a downtime in between seasons as they do the calculations of who the top 3 and get all the rewards worked out and that kind of thing. He said this time that because it's dropping at a relatively big update that's changing a lot of abilities and gear and all of that kind of thing, they may make that window a little bit longer so that things can sort of settle down with the update with 6.0 with Onslaught. I think they're going to be in trouble. I don't think anything's going to be balanced anytime soon with this new update. I think things are going to be in an uproar. And if you're caring about min max and balance in ranked PvP, do not expect anytime soon that there's going to be any bit of balance. We've sort of talked about it before. I think you should just have fun with it and surrender to the lack of balance, and
Right.
and
It's
roll with it,
chaos.
and yeah, roll with the chaos and roll with the flavor of the month, and roll those characters. Fine, go do the new Smash spec because you figured out how you take all of you combine your new set bonuses with your new tacticals with all of the new stats, and that you pushed your, I keep forgetting what they're called. What is the dang little extra stat thing on each piece of gear called? Stat
Amplifier.
amplifier. You're gonna take new stats, new abilities, plus set bonuses, plus tacticals, plus amplifiers, and there's gonna be some calculus of tweaking all 5 of those variables where you're gonna have some way overpowered stuff going on. And we're just gonna have to ride it. We're just gonna have to roll with it. So there you go. So that's PvP. Be ready for it. Keep an eye out because they will very soon report the rewards for season 11 too. So if you're we're at the tail end here. If you want to get some last points in to get whatever rewards you're looking for, you'll be able to do that. Thon,
Yeah.
sniper, don't you?
Fun. Also in news this week, there's a post about the PTS achievements. You may see them on the PTS, but they're actually not achievable until we get into phase 2 of the PTS. And Eric promises to be very obvious about it when phase 2 starts. So we will know when they launch phase 2, and then you can work on those achievements. One of which is to do 5 group things like flashpoints, operations, etc. on the PTS. So maybe we'll try and get some people together and do that.
Right. Yes, we may do that. We may do that with anybody who's in the sound, listening to the within the sound of my voice right now, with the far as my eye can see. If you would like to come join us on the PTS, then yes, just great. We'll figure out when we're gonna do it. Maybe we'll put a tweet out or something, and everybody can sort of jump in, because you got to do 5 things. So like five flashpoints, 5 war zones. Maybe we'll try to do a little bit of everything, or at least I'll do a PvP match, and Seema can lead a flashpoint group or something like that. I would like to jump in an operation. We'll talk a little bit about why a little bit tonight, but yeah, that's cool. Let's get some PTS rewards as well, some achievements. Also, in the dev tracker, we did get a post a little bit ago about. I think maybe I did these in the wrong order. Did I do these in the? No, I did these in the right order.
No, you're fine.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Everyone's fine.
It's all
How
fine.
are you?
We're fine here. How are you? Well done. Level sync. And we tried some of this. We'll talk about this in detail, but there is a note up there that said they did put some of the level sync in. And what this does is it drops you down. It takes wherever you are at level 75 and drops you down to match the content in flashpoints, in operations, and on the planets. As you're on the PTS, and I don't know if it's going to stay this way for when we go live, but there's a buff debuff on your bar that shows basically how many stacks of this reverse bolster are in play as you go into a flashpoint or a planet. So I went into Black Talon, and I believe I had 19 stacks of the reverse bolster going on. So we'll talk a little bit about how that felt and what that looked like. That's definitely when the PTS is back up. Rant number 1 coming shortly. You will be able to go in there and experience this for yourself maybe someday again for more than 5 minutes. So there's that. Tell us about the PTS, Seema.
So, yeah, the PTS did come up this week, as they said it would, after not coming up end of last week, which they also said it would. But it came down for a short update this morning, which broke something, and they took it back down again. So ultimately, they're hoping to have it back up soon, and we'll hear more tomorrow. So as you can see, we are not doing the podcast tonight from the PTS. We are just on regular old Odessen.
Yes, we are. If this was the PTS, this would be Odessen, except there would be a bunch of vendors here and a bunch of people pounding on training dummies, and dueling. There's a lot of dueling going on the PTS right here on Odessen. But we are not.
Yes.
We are not on the PTS. And again, we will talk about that shortly. Community news. A lot of stuff getting pumped out from the community content creators. A lot of stuff. So both of us were reading a couple things off of Zamzam's blog.
Yes.
Peters,
yes.
who's SWTOR Central, he took one of the clips of the music that's on the PTS now, of the new music that's in the game. They spent a lot of time on the music. They called it out multiple times in the cantinas in the dev stream. That's pretty cool. Bunch of stuff going just on across all of the content creators and everybody who's playing the game. A lot of streamers are doing stuff in the PTS. A lot of blog posts, a lot of videos being created, a lot of guides being created. Go check that stuff out. It's really good. Shout out to all the people, official and non-official content creators who are part of the community. Thumbs up to all of you. So thanks.
And also, in like guild news, we are going to have a mega in August, but I forgot when it is, and Marcus has set a date, so I'll look that up and get back to you guys on that. But yes, that will be coming in August.
Marcus did set the date, and it will be in August.
Yeah.
And I forgot what it's going to be.
Well, he said the date, and I put it in my notes for the AIE podcast, and now I've got to find my notes. Sorry about that.
And it'll be something really awesome and really fun, and it'll be coming up around the end of August. I think it's like the last weekend in August, Friday or Saturday. On the 23rd, Marcus, Working Class Nerds podcast, in the chat room now. On the 23rd, we will be doing our next mega, which is, again, if you're not familiar, because we don't explain it, well, we explain it all the time, but if you're not familiar, if you're new to the if you're new to the show, Mega means monthly epic guild
Fleet
activity.
Datacron.
Oh, so
Yes.
we'll be doing the Fleet Datacron. So expect to also see published in a couple places a shout out to anyone on Starforge. What we're hoping to do as part of that is we'll set it up. We'll set up the Fleet Datacron so we can pull people to it. And if you're on a new account and you've never gotten the Fleet Datacron, if you're on Starforge at all, keep an eye out on the 23rd, probably around 8 p.m. Central. We'll be pulling anyone on Starforge that's interested. Probably just on one of the factions, though. So you'll have to have a character that's able to get to the fleet on probably on Imperial side. I think it might be Imperial side that week. If this week, then that week, then that week.
It actually might be a little bit later than that because it takes us a while to get our act together on that one.
So we'll let you know, but coming up on the 23rd, then we'll publish some details in a couple places, and we'll get anyone who wants it on Starforge. We'll probably spend about a half hour or 40 minutes just pulling people and getting them the Fleet Datacron if they still need it, which is really cool. I really love that server event. We haven't done it in a long, long time, so I'm glad we're gonna do that. It's sort of fun to do. And it's also fun to do it as a server event and pull a bunch of people into it. And shout out to the chat room. You guys have already been helping us out quite a bit here, reminding us what. And I gotta scroll back up because I forgot one more time. What did Corley say those damn little things are? Amplifiers. Why can I not get it in my head? Amplifiers.
They're like unassembled components. The words have so little meaning. It's hard to remember.
Yeah. All right. I had something picked out to play. Hold on before we go to our segment. Nothing all that exciting, but here it is. Okay.
But tell me why I can't.
No, there is no why. Nothing more will I teach you today.
So the PTS has nothing more to teach us today, apparently. That's all that was. Not very exciting. That sound means we're ready to talk about our segment, which is the PTS, which is testing our patience. Get it? Do you get it? You get that? You get that there? Because...
Yeah, I get it.
This is the second week in a row. We're ready to do the podcast, and like moments before the PTS is down. It's like they're waiting. So they put the PTS up on Tuesday, like an hour before we're gonna do the podcast. So we said, well, geez, now we've got no time. It's been down all weekend. We haven't been able to get on there and try any of the stuff out. So now we can't do it now. So we're gonna have to wait until Thursday. Oh, fine, we'll push the podcast to Thursday. So fine, we push the podcast to Thursday, and then like 2 hours before we're going to go live on the podcast, sorry, we're going to have to take the PTS down. And
Forrest TR keeping us honest. It was up on Tuesday, but we hadn't had a chance before.
Yeah, it was
to
up,
actually
it was
look
up Tuesday
at it.
afternoon. But what we wanted to do was get in there and test the level sync and test the gear and set up our bounty hunters and test the abilities and test the tacticals and test the set bonuses. We actually did end up doing quite a bit of that last night, and I've got some screenshots that we can show off. So there's that. There's stuff we can do. There's stuff we can show. There's stuff we can talk about. It's still kind of frustrating and disappointing that we did not get to test and do all the stuff and show you some of the stuff live and hover over tooltips and remind ourselves what some of this stuff does. So we'll do our best as we go through everything that we did test and try on the PTS. So let's start with that, Seema. Now that I've got that, take a deep breath. Now that I've ranted just a tiny bit, let me start the start the slideshow here on my other monitor, on the main monitor. So first thing on the PTS, yes, we got the new splash screen. Fine. I did notice that they did put in the gear. So this was placeholder gear last time the PTS was up. So 2 weeks ago, it was placeholder gear. The new gear models are up on the gear that you're getting off the gear fenders with the new set bonuses on it. I kind of like the Sork set. I like the body part of the Sork set. The mask part has like this weird little crown thing on, and then like a flat face plate, which I'm only so on. But I like the glowy parts. I like the, sort of the hieroglyphics on your shoulders. The shoulders aren't pointing upwards. I didn't get a screenshot of your armor on the PTS.
No, that's because we're lucky to have any screenshots because we weren't really documenting
Right.
the PTS.
I've got like a dozen screenshots of some things. It would have been nice to be live and show you how like Seema's shoulder pads went like pointed up and they were like cups. So if it was raining out, she would just be able to like turn and have a little bit of a drink. But
Is this real salt now, or are we still in pre-salt?
this is real salt. This is real salt. But there's other. We're not yet salt. We'll tell you about the things that we might be also even more salty about if they go live soon as well. But we'll start
Salt
here.
warning.
So this is pictures of the Sork gear. Here's a picture of the mercenary gear, which I kind of like. And from the front, I like it, but you can't see because I can't turn it around because I don't. Oh, wait, no, I have a picture here. You can see the back. This is me with a jetpack on, which the jetpack sort of fits cleverly in between these posts, but I do not like big post handles coming out of my back on any of the bounty hunter gear. What is the point of that? Who would do that? I tried to you can't sit in a chair. You can't lay down, take a little nap because you got big posts coming out of your back. Why? I need an answer from somebody about what design concept that makes it interesting to have these
They're
posts
not just
coming out of here.
posts. They're like venting your heat so that you can combat.
But I don't see them venting my heat. No, they don't do anything. They're inert.
You have to have faith.
Yeah, I just have faith that these are like radiating.
Yes, it's radiant heat.
Radiant heat coming out of these are like heat sinks coming out. I don't buy that. And plus, it's very uncomfortable when I try to lay down. it's quite uncomfortable. It's like laying on a table.
Well, then don't lie down. Do your work.
Like
be a combatter.
It's like when you try to lay on an ottoman, and your arms and legs hang off awkwardly. All right.
Or like a turtle on its back.
It's like that. That's a little bit better. So fine, there's that. The other reason for this screenshot, which I was just grabbing along the way, is there's a ton of these little these little indicators on the interactable objects and vendors and that kind of thing all over the place. So they did a whole pass and changed a bunch of these, and they're all sort of animated. Like this one above the mailbox, which you can't see live because we're not on the PTS. How many times are I going to do that tonight? It pulses, it animates. And the ones on the vendors, here's I think I have one of the little vendor ones. Yeah, so this little box above the vendors, it pulses, it animates, the color flashes. So nice, fine. I don't think that's a huge deal, but it gives you a little bit of a visual cue to here's stuff that you should pay attention to. So that's kind of cool. Did you do any dummy parsing? You probably didn't do parsing, but did you?
I did not.
Shoot a training dummy?
No.
So I did.
didn't.
I tried out some of my abilities on a training dummy. There are training dummies on Odessin, so everybody that is on Odessin. So let me go back here. So lined up here on Odessin, there's training dummies on the side here and training dummies on the side here, and they're close enough so you can sort of get a feel for cleaves and AoE abilities. It's actually a nice little setup. The problem is there'll be like 20 people all around here and multiple people trying to use the training dummies, and that was annoying me a little bit because there's a whole bunch of people using their abilities, and I was having trouble seeing what I was doing. There's more training dummies on the fleet. Okay, that wasn't bad. So I went to the fleet. There was like nobody on the fleet. I start pounding on a training dummy. It's on the Zyos Shadow on the Imperial side. So you go to the Zyos Shadow, you go around the I think it's the command deck, you go around the back. There's a training area back there with just a couple training dummies. I'm there, there's like nobody on the fleet, and all of a sudden somebody else got that idea and showed up and tried to parse next to me. And then he like that player accidentally got in combat with mine, and that screwed up their thing. And they whispered me. They said, could you stop? When you get a chance, can you stop for a sec so I can try to get out of combat? I'll fix this. And then I got the idea, which is what this screenshot was representing. I got the idea. If you go to buy your Rishi Stronghold, because you have unlimited credits, you click that level 75 console on Odessa and you'll get unlimited credits. Buy the Rishi Stronghold, unlock the patrol carrier, which is up in the sky, unlock the training room, which is just down the hall from where you zone into the patrol carrier. This is the training room. This is what it looks like. You click this console right here and it says, what kind of training dummy would you like? Would you like an operations training dummy? Would you like a PvP training dummy? Would you like a Flashpoint training dummy? And then if you click on this vendor, this astromech, it's got all the mods you could possibly want. Do you want to set it to 1.5 million health? Do you want to set it to 500k health? Do you want to give it the debuffs as if you were in an ops group and they did the armor somebody cast the armor debuff on it? So it's really nice setup. There's even one that's made for healing. So I didn't play with it, but it's some sort of healing dummy where it his health keeps dropping or something, and you can like heal it up and parse your healing, which I thought was awesome. So there's your pro tip. And I tweeted that out this week. There's your pro tip. Go to Rishi, buy your stronghold, and go to your training room, and you can play with the training dummies all you want in the privacy of your own stronghold. So, but you played a little bit with healing, Seema, didn't you? Well, you never got to. My idea was I was just going to go punch some mobs in the face and you could heal me, but we never got to that last night.
Right, we were going to go do some stuff, but we did do stuff and ran out of time. I was mostly on the fleet just playing with my my UI, getting the buttons in the right place and looking at my outfit and the things I normally do.
And playing with some of the gear and some
lamenting
of the
that I had to stop running in order to mount up.
So you probably did try out some of the set bonus, some of the tacticals, and
yes, I did. Yeah.
And okay, so here's the part where we'll talk a little bit in detail about what's up with the bounty hunter in particular. Not exhaustively, and not Power Tech Vanguard, but bounty hunter specifically because that's what we play. My main on the Imperial side is bounty hunter. I mostly play Arsenal. I'll talk about why in just a second, because Zamzam has a post with the devs that it was a little bit of an interview, and they sort of dissed Arsenal to some degree. They said, well, yeah, if you'd like a little more challenge for the discerning player, you would be playing Innovative Ordnance. But if you suck, like Max, then maybe you'll stick with Arsenal. I think that was the quote from the devs. Anyway, they talked about, so they gave us our ability, they gave us some of our tacticals, and they gave us some of our set bonuses. And I went back and forth and actually got some feel for what these feel like, both on the training dummies, and I ran Black Talon solo 3.5 times. So I'll talk about that too. But let's start with some of the heal stuff, because you did find some value there, didn't you, Seema? How's the heal abilities? And well, I guess let's start with the ability. How is the ability working out for you? Our new awesome ability that we get, which is no ability.
Right, a double. We're getting an extra charge of rocket out. I mean, I have to say, unless it's useful in Dexon, there's only one fight where I ever even use rocket out, and I don't even have to use it there. It's just no. Actually, I sometimes do it on the tanks and explosive conflict too. But not usually. I just usually wait for the knockback. But yeah, so I do appreciate that it would be useful probably in PvP though.
Right. In PvP, it's a useful ability. I do use it in PvP, and it coupled with, in fact, I think there's a either a tactical or a set bonus that synergizes with Rocket Out. Then okay, now you're starting to get interesting. But it's only in PvP. I almost never use it in PvE unless I'm using it just sort of for fun. I use it like on the first fight of Eternity Vault, because when all the missiles are coming down, then you group up for AoE heals, and then just because it was a fun thing, Apollos would yell out, because we had like 3 mercenaries out of 8 people in the group. He'd yell out "rocket out," and we'd all rocket out. But that's just for fun. It doesn't actually add anything to the fight. And
Right.
none of the synergies with Rocket Out, which was, when you rocket out, you stun the enemies around you. Okay, well that's useless on any boss fight. So it's like not useful. I'm never going to use it. And now I don't get a new ability, and me playing my mercenary, my Arsenal mercenary, I'm probably going to switch to IO, because I've been meaning to switch to IO anyway. I've gone back and forth over the years. I'm probably going to switch to IO, mostly because I'm I'm the same, and my rotation's pretty much the same. Things don't feel very different. I'm at level 75. Even with these set bonus and tacticals I've been switching back and forth between, it's like all the same. So I'll at least feel a little different if I go to IO. Switch back to IO for a little while. And now, while I'm talking about it, let me be clear why I play Arsenal. Because we do a lot of variable content where we're switching back and forth between a lot of mobs, and we're running we're when you're doing trash and you're doing a lot of mobs, and we're not doing nightmare content where the sustained damage boost that you get off of IO, because it's got a longer ramp up time, but the sustained damage is higher. That's only useful on long boss fights. And we don't need that extra DPS on the boss fights. So the extra utility of being able to switch targets really quick and even draw aggro, like we're doing the queen fight, and I'm able to pull aggro because I'm doing extra burst up front on the guards, and and keeping them off the healers, and that's useful. So that's why I do Arsenal, not because I suck. Just to be clear, not because I suck. So fine, I'll do IO, and my parses will be 1% better, but it'll also feel different though, and so that'll be some of the fun.
That's the main thing, yeah.
All right, let's talk about set bonuses and tacticals, because again, there you
Okay.
got some good. You found a little fun,
I
little
think
good thing.
I mean,
from the healer
yeah,
side, right?
so like the tactical that I played with was it was the one that makes your oh, dang it. Sorry. It makes your sort of medium heal, it makes it so that you can cast it on the move.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually, to me anyway, is really changes things up, because in the early days of this game, Merc and Commando healing was considered sort of more of a turret spec, where you had to have time to get your abilities off. But it's super mobile now, and this is going to make it even more mobile, because like I have a channeled heal that I can move during. I have this that I can move during. I have instance, and I have um, the sort of bubble type thing that's also instant. It's yeah. And then I have my long cast thing. I can make it instant with a proc. So yeah, I mean I was running around the fleet spam casting my heal that I'm used to it having at activation time. So I think that's fun. I mean it's a fun change. I like being able to move around.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah. It's
it,
significant, and it has a big feel difference to it, and you now becoming a healer
Yeah.
on the move. That's kind of cool.
When we talk about set bonuses, like for instance, one of them will make your chaff flare heal allies around you. Probably a small heal, but it also turns your um, battle res into an instant cast. That's kind of just like a nice to have, right?
Yeah.
But again, it's another instant, so it's kind of in the same theme. I mean, I've never really had a problem getting my battle res off. It's still a pretty short cast, but I appreciate instant, so that's a possibility. And having an additional heal can't hurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Right. So
the
I mean, that's one of those that you'll sort of have to do the math on, because
right,
anything like that where it's like, here, cast this ability that you don't normally cast. It's not in your rotation, and it now could be part of your rotation. If it's not worth the global cooldown, if there's like casting rapid scan instead on that global cooldown is a bigger heal, well then you're not, no matter how,
right,
then you can't you're not going to cast it.
right, and it
So
probably will be.
yeah,
But
then I mean
if all
they
of
better
these are
make it
sort of
worthwhile. Otherwise, yeah, otherwise it's not a
well, if all the set bonuses are kind of the same, semi the same, then this one will probably be the one I would pick because, well, I might not have to choose between them, but the it has the little additional thing of the instant
yeah.
onboard AEDs. So, and then there's one where when you use Culto Overload, which is it's kind of a defensive that when you go below 30% health, it heals you, right? So this set bonus, if it gets triggered by someone attacking you, then it does damage back to that enemy. So that's kind of a little bit less useful to me because yes, I do sometimes get damaged by mobs in an ops fight, but it doesn't really. I mean, me doing a little bit of damage to them doesn't really make us win the fight. So
Right.
um,
Right. Yeah.
probably the mobs are gonna. I mean, I unless it's like a lot of damage
Right.
thing. So this might be something that's going to make your opponents in PvP. And maybe it's going to stop them a little bit, or add up to something in PvP. Whereas in PvP, it doesn't seem like it will. But so there's that, and then um, there's another one where if you use it's like if you use this ability, then you get this 5 times, then you get an instant cast of another ability. So
Right.
that one might be interesting.
Right. It might. So that's a couple of them. So
I mean,
there's
rapid scan is something that I do cast. You can cast it. It wouldn't hurt you to cast it
and
a lot. So
and same thing for the DPS specs. Power shot, tracer missile are part of that then too.
yeah,
So there's the 4 piece is you casting those increases the crit chance that stacks up to 5 times by by 3%. So that's cool. Then yeah, the 6 piece is at 5 stacks of this power step that you're stacking up. At 5 stacks, your next power shot, tracer missile, or rapid scan is quote unquote more effective. So we have to find out what that means, and costs no heat. So wait, it's not instant. That's the one where it's more effective and costs no heat. So it's not that it's instacast like a instacast tracer
right,
missile, but
right.
does
I
more
was thinking. You're right.
damage.
I was thinking. Yeah,
Does more damage and
more
costs no heat.
effective and costs no heat.
So
Yeah,
my problem with this one is, while so I'm picking between two out of the 4 that they gave, because technical medic, of course, that is useless for DPS. Critical charge, I don't know. Maybe it's fine, but this idea of you getting crit chance by 10% for 10 seconds, you typically have a ton of crit anyway, but maybe between these there's math to do. So either basically you're getting an overall 10% boost to crit, because there's enough that you're doing, so you could be maintaining supercharge once every 10 seconds and boosting it once every 10 seconds, you're almost maintaining a full uptime on this 10% boost to crit. And then doing damage or healing an ally has a 5% chance to build an additional supercharge, but can only happen once every 3 seconds. So there's like more opportunity to build supercharge, and you can maybe keep up this extra 10% crit. That has the opportunity then to just change the math on what the stat balance is for your class, but it's not going to really change the way you play. It's not going to change your rotation. You're going to take this and you're going to spec with slightly more alacrity than you would have. That's what it's going to change. It's going to change how you min-max your gear. So it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe that's going to be good. Maybe the math is going to say that's the best because now you can stack more alacrity and get to another alacrity tier in your breakpoints. Maybe. This other one, as you said, stacking up to 5 times, and then it's more effective and costs no heat. Again, it might be now you can choose you're going to vent heat less often because you're doing this and you're not building up as much heat, so you can sustain slightly higher damage as a result, and more effective. I don't know what that's going to mean from a DPS perspective. What does more effective mean? How much DPS does that grant? Again, you're going to make me do some math, and somebody's going to tell me between critical charge, power step, and surging power, one of these mathematically is going to be better. None of them are really going to, well, besides surging power, none of those other two are really changing your rotation. Surging power is the one I thought I wanted. So here's another interesting one. So surging power is the one I thought I wanted because Power Surge, which is the thing that you click and it gives you an instacast of like Tracer Missile, or if you use the utility, it gets you 2 instacasts of Tracer Missile in a row. Increasing armor penetration by 10% for 6 seconds after you use Power Surge. That at the 4-piece set bonus is still good. Again, that's only just math for a little bit of additional damage. But then the 6-piece bonus at first looked interesting to me. It said Power Surge gets an additional charge. And I thought, oh, imagine me being like super bursty now. I can do instacast Tracer Missile, Heatseeker missiles, my second power surge, and do a couple more instacast Tracer Missiles. And I'm just like, I'm going to like burst the boss, burst the mobs, burst the PvP, burst in PvP. I'm going to be really cool, Mr. Bursty Man. Except the way Power Surge works when you have an additional charge is the cooldown time to rebuild a charge is additive for each charge, and the same cooldown time per charge that it was, which means for a long boss fight, for an 8-minute boss fight, you're getting 1 single additional Power Surge with this 6-piece set bonus. Because you cast Power Surge on cooldown in your rotation pretty much. So if you get an additional charge, the cooldown, every time the cooldown comes up and you get, you go back to 1 stack of Power Surge, you're never going to get back to 2 stacks. You're never going to stack it up. You're never getting burst. So at the beginning of the fight, your opening rotation, you're going to be able to use your 2 Power Surges, and then that's it. We even did a little mental challenge of, if I'm in a really, really good group and we're chain pulling all of the trash and we're chain pulling the bosses and we're going as fast as we can through a whole operation, then that means you would get 1 single extra Power Surge the whole operation with this 6-piece set bonus. That's all you'd ever get. So it's bad. It sucks. It's terrible.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to use it. I'm going to pick either Power Step or Critical Charge now. And I'm probably going to pick Power Step because at least then, well, I don't even know.
Something to look at. You can watch and see when you get your stacks.
Yeah,
and blah, blah, blah.
I can look at the stacks. Or I'm going to just use Critical Charge, and Supercharge is going to build slightly faster, and I'm going to hit Supercharge slightly more often, and then I'm going to put a little bit more alacrity in my build, I guess.
Right.
Sigh. But that, so that's the kind of thing that we're sort of shaking out where these are at. These are not what I was hoping. I was hoping for. Yeah, let's get. Do I have it queued up here? Where's my game changer?
Game changer. Game changer.
Game changer for
Game changer for the industry. This
So like
not
one
game
question I
changer.
had, like I was gonna make a a comment that I like the Cool Your Jets one because I just like the name Cool Your Jets. But rocket out vents 20 heat and immobilizes enemies around you for 1 second. If you are having trouble with heat, which right now we really don't, healing mercs, yeah, but maybe it will be, maybe like in the beginning of the new op, maybe we will have to start to pay more attention to heat again. But so maybe that'll be useful to vent it. But I'm wondering if that immobilizes enemies around you for 1 second. I wonder if that actually is going to also act as an interrupt, because that could be like immobilizing enemies for a second. Really sounds so PvP, right? Gives you a half a breath to just get out of there, right?
Yeah.
But if you have a bunch of mobs that are casting something at you and you interrupt all of them, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. That kind of thing. So that's under the tacticals, and
Right.
if it was a little bit, yeah, if it did a little bit more, but even in PvE, like in an operation, maybe so then maybe there's some interesting trash pack where that might be useful. It's nothing. That's certainly not going to interrupt a boss, because the
No.
bosses are uninterruptible anyway.
No. No, absolutely. It will be niche, or it'd be when you were out in the world, maybe like
But
you're doing.
so did you
Go
find,
ahead.
so under these tacticals, so everybody you pick a spec, you get 4 of your base class tacticals to try out, and then 3 advanced or 3 spec, 3 advanced class, 3 spec tacticals, so a total of 7 possible tacticals for you to try. Did you find a good tactical that you liked for bodyguard? What do you got here?
Yeah.
Supercharged burst, alacrity scan. Oh, that's the alacrity scan that you mentioned.
Yeah. Right.
Rapid scan can be cast while moving and heals an additional 10%. Yeah, that seems.
But I hope it's you brought up in pre-show something I hadn't thought to worry about yet, but I hope it's something I can get. I hope it's not something you have to get in like master mode ops
So
or
why don't you
something.
explain that for a second? So that's yeah, that here's the salt that we're banking.
Pre-salt.
So
Well, yeah. So each of these tacticals drop or whatever in different places. So this one tactical that I've decided I like, I hope it's not outside of the realm of my normal set of activities to get it.
so there's a quote.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Zamzam's got a slightly updated interview with the devs that talk about some of the gearing. One of the quotes in there is, at the onset, some of the tacticals are going
Will be
to be
very rare.
relatively rare. You're not going to have, tacticals all over the place. Okay. Does that mean I'm going to get to pick, all I'm going to have available to me is Cool Your Jets, where rocket out vents 20 heat? And me venting 20 heat by like now being too far away to damage the boss, and so it's an overall DPS loss. That's the only tactical I'm going to be able to use? And then, yeah, to your point, you want alacrity scan. Is that going to be like, well, you got to do master mode Duxin, and unless you do master mode Duxin, you don't get alacrity scan, so we're never going to get it. Then there's the salt. This is what we're saving up salt for. If that's how that works at 6.0 at launch, there's going to be some salt.
And I just want to be clear too, like, say this one that I want is only available in master mode ops. I'm not saying that that's wrong or bad and everything should be given to me. I'm just saying that's outside of my normal play style, and I probably won't get it then, and that's not good for me. But I'm not saying it's a bad move for them to make, or and say Cool Your Jets is the only one that's available early on that's easy to get. I'm also fine with them being rare, or being hard to get, or whatever. I'm just saying, if it's outside of my circle, then I won't be getting it.
My problem with it is that as I looked through all the tacticals, there were only 2 tacticals out of the 7 that were available to me that I would even possibly want. So
Right.
in that case, if those 2 tacticals are only available in, master mode, Duxon, or whatever, I'm fine with the idea of there being some things that are only available in some places. But if out of all of the 7, there's only 1 or 2 that I even care to have, and all of the rest are kind of junk to me, then it's going to feel really bad if I have to just deal with some junk tactical, and that's useless to me. So here's why. Here's where I'm going with that. Mercenary. Here's the 4 base tacticals for mercenary. The base class tacticals. Cool your jets, which is rocket out, vents 20 heat, and immobilize the enemy around you for 1 second. It's a PvP tactical. It is. It's a PvP tactical. Jettison. Jet boost increases your movement speed by 50% for 3 seconds, and for each enemy you hit with jet boost, the cooldown of hydraulic overrides is reduced by 3 seconds. That's a PvP tactical. Okay, so now out of the 4 here, those 2 are clearly PvP tacticals. Let's look at the 4th one, Power Cycle. When you use an ability with Power Surge, that ability is not put on a cooldown. Ah, sounds interesting, does it? Let me tell you, it's not. So with Arsenal, here, let's go to my abilities here. So to be clear, Power Surge is the ability you hit that makes an ability with a cast time happen instantly. So it only affects abilities that have a cast time. Then what it's saying is that ability that had a cast time also now has no cooldown. So if it was an ability that didn't have a cooldown and has a cast time, Power Cycle doesn't affect it. If it's an ability that doesn't have a cast time but has a cooldown, Power Cycle doesn't affect it. So let's look at my abilities. Let's take a little look-see, shall we? Let's see. Priming Shot. No, Priming Shot is instant, so Power Surge does not affect it. Heatseeker Missiles. Oh, that would be a good one to get rid of my cooldown on. Oh, it's an instant. Power Surge does not affect it. Blazing Bolts. No, that has no cooldown. Not that one. Rail Shot. Has a cooldown, but it's instant. Not that one either. Tracer Missile. Okay, so Tracer Missile. Nope, Tracer Missile's instant. So that's not affected either. It also has no cooldown. So no, it has a cast time, but it has no cooldown. So that one's not okay. Right. So all of my core DPS abilities are not affected. The only thing on my whole bar here that's affected, which is mildly interesting in PvP, is Concussion Missile. So Concussion Missile has a cooldown and has a cast time. I could cast this, then I could click Power Surge, and I could do a Concussion Missile on a second person in PvP. I could do a Concussion Missile on 2 people in PvP in a ranked PvP match. That's kind of interesting. So the flavor text, which we sort of glossed over here, which we actually found quite hilarious on the PTS, the flavor text on this is, quote, "How is that off cooldown?" End quote, dash, anonymous victim says. That's amusing.
Yeah, the flavor text on these is really, really great, which they'll probably change before live.
There's one other possible ability that this would work on too, which is Fusion Missile. As you can see, look here on all of my bars, all the way around here, you don't see Fusion Missile, do you? Nobody casts Fusion Missile. We don't use Fusion Missile. We use Death from Above or Sweeping Blasters. Fusion Missile hits and it does a little bit of an AoE damage with its hit. Nobody casts it. Nobody uses it. We don't. Arsenal does not use Fusion Missile. So there's one ability on my whole bar that Power Cycle would even work with. So that leaves me with Missile Back, which Missile Blast knocks its target back and refunds some heat. Again, I don't think this is useful for anybody anywhere. This one. So there's these 2. There's Priming Bolt and Burning Shot. There are 2 tacticals under Arsenal out of the 7 that would help. None of these base mercenary tacticals, they're useless to me. This one, Missile Back, Missile Blast knocks its target back and refunds some heat. That's the kind of ability that even if you're using it in PvP, that your teammates may hate you for, because the Marauder on your team was punching that guy in the face, and you just cast Missile Blast, which you don't cast anyway on Arsenal, but you did it to get this little bit of a knockback. You knock him back, and now the Marauder is like, dude, I almost had that guy dead, and now he's like getting healed up by the healer because you just knocked him back. Great job. And if you do this in PvP, you start knocking back targets in PvP or PvE, then your tank is like, dude, what are you doing? You're not gonna unequip that tactical, please. So
Yeah.
So, in one way, this is kind of fun. We went on the PTS. I was able to look at these things and get some view of what it does. Get some view of where it's useful and where it's not. So this one that I kind of ended up liking was Burning Shot, which gives Priming Shot, which is in my rotation. It gives it a dot. And so it adds a dot to the target, and then some of your other abilities double tick that dot, basically. So that dot will tick, and then if you cast Blazing Bolts or Heat Seeker Missile or Tracer Missile, they also tick its damage. That's kind of cool. Now your target's on fire. You got an extra dot. That seems like some significant additional damage that it might impart to the target. And they're on fire.
Right, and fuego.
The flavor text on this one was something like, even the flames are flammable.
Yes, we were going to share with you
Yeah,
some of the funnier flavor texts.
we were gonna like hover over all of these. Do I have a picture of my inventory here? I had my inventory all
But
laid
alas,
out with
we
all
could
of
not.
the. Look, I had them even all separated by the ones I hated, the ones that were mildly useful, and the ones I kind of liked. And I was gonna hover over it here and give you all the little flavor text and all that kind of stuff too, but we can't. So that's our little bit of a rant on what we're feeling like so far for Bounty Hunter. And I haven't exhaustively looked.
For specifically,
Yeah.
I mean, like, we're not addressing, say, the general purpose tacticals right now. We're just talking about the ones that are bounty hunter.
Right, for us. We're not, and for some of the other classes, some of this stuff could be brilliant, and some of the set bonuses could feel great, and there could be multiple choices. This is the only one I've had a chance to really break down and break apart. So that's my feedback on this class. For Arsenal specifically, on Bounty Hunter, I'll take a look at Innovative Ordnance. We took a look at Bodyguard as well. I'll probably look at Vanguard because I do play Vanguard to tanking on Vanguard Power Tech as well. There could be some really cool things on some of the other ones too. But there you go. There's some feedback. I'm not all that satisfied with having no ability because an extra charge on Rocket Out is useless to me. Here, look, you can see my little 2 charges on Rocket Out here. That's useless to me. So I got no ability. I got set bonuses that, maybe there was one that I kind of liked. And out of 7 tacticals, there were 2 that I kind of liked. Yeah, doesn't feel that great. All right, so that's that. What did feel kind of good, so here, we can get to this SEMA, which I have up on the screen here. Materials inventory. So what do you think of the materials inventory, SEMA? What do you got there? What does that feel like?
Well, I mean, I just like the concept. I didn't really have a lot of materials on the PTS to play around with it much, but you went out and got some materials, didn't you?
I did. I even rolled an extra character so I could run some of the crew missions, so I could get some diplomacy materials and some investigation materials. And then I bought every single of the white materials off of the crafting vendor. Interesting thing I noticed off the crafting vendor, you know how every new tier of crafting that we got, there was like one additional white material that you'd use for crafting that showed up on that vendor? It'd be like Zusha Solution and Protonic Flux or whatever. And there'd be, for each of the crafting disciplines, there'd be one additional white material on that crafting vendor that you'd have to use in your recipes.
Right.
For this, there's 3. So there's a white, a green, and a blue for each of the crafting disciplines. So for synth weaving, there's a white, a green, and a blue. For armor mech, there's a white, a green, and a blue. And they're expensive. So,
Wow.
a little bit of a twist there. Anyway, I bought all of those. I put those into the materials inventory. I went to like 3 different planets, and I got, I got all 3 of I got archaeology and scavenging and bioanalysis. And if we were on the PTS, I would scroll through the interface here and show you how it works and show you how it looks. I would even show you the bug I found, which is if I opened a character and I opened my materials inventory and then I closed everything, from that point on that character, every time I hit spacebar, like to jump, the materials inventory would open back up and close. It would open on spacebar and next spacebar it would close. So I had to like move it over to the side of my screen because even like jumping around on a planet, it kept opening and closing.
And you can't not jump.
Right. So you'd have to like log out and log back in and not touch the materials inventory. I'm sure they're going to fix it. It's an obvious bug.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
But one thing that was a little bit concerning, and it really about all of this overall. So I liked this. I liked that there was the materials inventory. As I said, I ran. So here, let's talk about this for a second, and then I'll get to my big concern to maybe to wrap it up. I went to some of the planets and I shot some things in the heroic areas. And then I went to Black Talon and I soloed Black Talon on story with the droid, with the support droid. I soloed Black Talon on veteran. And then I soloed Black Talon on master mode. I didn't clear it on master mode. I had a level 1 rank 1 companion. I think with a rank 50 companion, I would have been able to. But the second fight, the middle fight, the second of 4 fights on Black Talon is the 4. It's like a little boarding party, and it's 4 elite mobs, and one of them's a healer. By the time it took me to kill the healer, I was taking too much damage, and my companion couldn't heal me through the damage. I didn't use heroic moment. I had a level 1 companion. I bet if I didn't have that level, if I had a level 50 companion, I would have been able to clear master mode Black Talon solo. So my conclusion there is the bolster is in, the tuning is in, but I think all of the tuning, and reading through some of the comments on people that even tried some of the operations, all of the tuning is a little bit too easy. So if they're trying to make it so at 375 with this tier of gear that it should feel relatively equivalent to the way it feels right now, it's a little bit too easy in my view. The mobs on the planets felt a little easy. The mobs as I said, veteran mode Black Talon felt the same as story mode to me, basically. I had no support droid in veteran mode. I just cruised on through, killed everything, took basically no damage. Fortzer in chat is saying he was able to solo Nathema on vet mode. Would not be able to solo vet mode on Nathema for the most part, for most, for 99% of the population in retail and release right now. So the other thing I noticed, and it was confirmed in the dev tracker, all the bosses that I was fighting didn't drop any loot. I was getting some of the renown packs. The loot in there isn't up to date. So here I'm looking at, and this basically gets, I think, to my wrap up, Seema. Materials inventory, if you look, the window isn't even finished. The graphics on the window don't work. There's the sort here doesn't work. Here, let me show you this. I don't know if you saw these, but there's these little speeders on the fleet to get you to each of the quadrants quicker. But
oh no, I didn't see that.
Yeah, so you can click on they're on the outer ring of each of the quadrants of the fleet, and they'll take you to each of the 4 quadrants. But the little selected destination box, as you can see here, isn't working.
Yes.
Isn't complete.
Yeah.
Loot isn't complete.
You can go to a mystery quadrant.
There's a lot of stuff that's not done.
So what do you think that means, Max?
I don't think we're going to get a September release of 6.0. That's what I think that means.
Well, we've known that for a long while.
Are we going to get October 7? So what's your estimate, Seema? Are you still sticking with October 7?
I'm doubling down.
You're doubling down on October 7. Bold move, Cotton. We'll see how that works out for you.
Luckily, There's no cost to being wrong.
There is no cost to being wrong besides our tears.
Yeah, our tears.
Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that I'm adding up, and I kept like, oh, that's not done. Oh, loot's not in. Oh, balance isn't in there
Yeah.
for level sync.
I
Oh,
mean, I blithely say that the flavor text on those items will probably change for live, but that someone's got to do that too if they're going to do that. I mean,
somebody's got to
it's
author the flavor text. Somebody's got to translate it
yeah,
into 9 different languages and all that kind of thing too. It's not trivial. So there's a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do and not a lot of time to do it. If all of it was done right now, I would say maybe, because there's still like polishing and packaging and QA and language
right,
translation that that all is done. After everything looks completely done, then there's like another month's worth of work. So
right.
yeah, I'm a little yeah. So we'll see. Um, so that's just to and that I don't that I'm not salty about. It'll be done
Right.
when it's done.
Right.
If it's done and all my tacticals suck and I have to run master mode Duxon to even get the one that I want, then I'll be salty. But I don't have salt for it's a ton of work because there is a bunch of stuff going in and it's going to be interesting when it's all done. So there's that.
I mean, I totally get what everybody's saying that there's so much still to do. But, we see Eric and we see Charles and we see Matt, but we don't really know what's going on beyond that layer.
Right.
So,
Right. And true. True, we don't know. And what's on the
they haven't
PTS?
changed their date. I originally put some wiggle room in it from their date, and they haven't changed their date yet. So
And
I'm sticking with my date.
yeah, there is the point that what we see on the PTS may not be what's on the dev servers. So everything could sort of look done on the dev servers. They just haven't gotten, there's like dev build, stage build, PTS build, release build. So the PTS build might be like a month behind because that's where they got it to a stable point through QA enough. I don't know. Who knows? They could be further behind the scenes, but they're probably not.
They could be further. They could have a plan. There could be a lot of things.
Yeah, maybe. All right, so there's little bit of a rant. Bring the PTS back up, please.
Yeah.
We'll get our gear feedback in there, and we're cheering you on. No rant, no salt, but we're cheering you on because things are looking fun. We're hoping for 6.0 as quick as you can get it to us, but we understand that it'll be done when it's done. With that, our EBC 305 droid here is ready to get kicked out an airlock, broadcast this podcast to all of you. Please keep up with us on Twitter at Max the Gray and at AIESEMA. And if you know any cool people that should be playing the game with us, which is the reason we do this podcast at all, tell them to come check us out on Twitter. As we said, they can check us out on YouTube at New Overlords on YouTube, twitch.tv/New Overlords, or come find us on Starforge. Come find us for our mega event on the 23rd when you'll be able to come play with our guild and get pulled to the Fleet Datacron. Our guild website is aie-guild.org. You can get onto our guild Discord from there, and there you can get an AIE guild invite and be in our guild and come play with us. And with that, we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.